What's going on, guys? Appreciate you stopping by for another video. This is going to be a really cool one, so I'm really excited. Unfortunately, today we're in a sea of red. I'm a little bit bagged up in Profit Trailer, basically due to my new settings that I've just implemented, and they're not really. I'm not changing a whole lot. I've changed a few things that I've been seeing over and over again in my Discord. So if you're not a part of the Discord community, that link is going to be in the description of this video. And go ahead and go over there and join that, because if you're having any issues, Profit Trailer or PT feeder related, or you want to understand the bag busting strategy that I've gone over in other videos, we do a lot of talking about all of these topics in the Discord. And then we also talk about other coins, the market situation and all of that. So it's a really good, useful resource for anyone who has questions. It's more difficult for me to get back to people on these YouTube comments than it is to just reply to you in Discord. So keep that in mind. What we're looking at here, the markets are at 357 billion. We've definitely regressed a little bit today. But that's okay. And if you're using Profit Trailer, I'll show you guys what I'm working with. This is my DCA log, so it's not terrible. There's one coin that I've been in this bag for quite a few days. And what I wanted to touch on in terms of Profit Trailer before I get too deep into the video is a lot of people are asking about DCA stop losses, and this is what can happen if you're using a ton of DCA buying strategies, right? So right now, all these coins are in my DCA, and I have 3 separate buying strategies. I have low BB, EMA gain, and RSI. Now, this is great because this allows us to get into a better trade. But the problem and the downside is if you're using really tight stop loss, DCA stop losses, this doesn't really work that well. And the reason being is because these triggers are never actually getting triggered at the negative percentage that you would like it to be, because all 3 of these indicators need to be true for Profit Trailer to go in and buy this coin in the DCA again, right? So I'll give you an example of what a lot of people have been, commenting in the Discord about. Is they wanted to use a DCA buy trigger, number 1 of like -1, then -1.5, and then -2.5. And then they want their stop loss to be triggered at -3%, which is in reality, like, this is a good strategy. I've used this before. And I've actually used this before using Anderson double down and no other strategy, just Anderson double down. And basically, when you're using all 3 of these strategies, it's pretty easy to tell that you're probably not going to buy directly at each of these levels. And so we can kind of go in and see that, because here I have SALT, and I've already DCA'd 1 time on SALT, but I'm at -5.21%. If it would have DCA'd at -1%, this would bring my buy value to roughly -0.5% or something like that, right? It would be in that range. It would be a lot closer to 0 than -5.34%. So that is the difficulty, because my assumption is, and I can go back and backtest this and see where it actually purchased, but it probably didn't purchase the first DCA level at -1. It probably purchased quite a bit lower, maybe -3 or -4. And then it continued to fall, but that DCA trigger number 2 never got triggered. So keep that in mind. If you're using a DCA stop loss, then my strategy that seems to work is getting rid of all of the DCA buying strategies except for 1, and using, Anderson double down. And basically what Anderson double down will do is it'll purchase at these buy triggers no matter what. It's once that coin goes down to -1%, it's going to rebuy for 100% of your coin value right now. So basically, that is my strategy if you're going to use a DCA stop loss, because you really will be able to take advantage of that market volatility easier. It's more difficult. Like, this one has 2 indicators true, still not buying, and we're at -6.09%. So if you are bagged up, we're all bagged up. And this right here, all of these bags came today, and the past week I was actually doing really well with my previous settings. It wasn't buying a whole lot and it wasn't selling a whole lot, but I wasn't in any negative bags. And so as you can see now, I'm down about 7% on average in the DCA. And that's okay. You know, it's not a big deal. I've had some nice sells over the past few days, so it's okay. But that's just something to keep in mind. The next thing I want to go over is the PT feeder update. And basically the newest PT feeder is going to allow us to use TradingView signals and alerts to really help us get into better buying situations. And what PT feeder is going to allow us to do is it's going to take a trading alert or trading signal just like this. And when this signals in TradingView, this buy now, it'll send an email to your Gmail account, and PT feeder will read that email and adjust your settings based on whatever's happening, whatever your strategy is in your TradingView. So basically what you're doing with this new update to PT feeder, and keep in mind, you don't have to use these signals. This is just a cool option that, that Methadone, released with this newest release. So it's by no means mandatory that you have to use TradingView now, but this is a cool update for people who are good at writing TradingView scripts and know exactly how it works. This can really give you even more of an edge than Profit Trailer. And Methadone, he's the founder of PT Feeder, and he outlines it pretty well here. He says that the technical analysis functionality of Profit Trailer is not enough. PT Feeder can be set up to react on strategies that you have set up in TradingView, but you will need a paid subscription after a certain number of alerts. And so that's the biggest downside. If you're not a paid member of TradingView, then you will need to upgrade your account at some point in order to continually send these alerts. They have different paid subscriptions and whatnot, so you can sign up there if you want to, and you want to try using this strategy. But basically, I can get into it a little more, but you're going to be able to use Profit Trailer, the trailing buy situation. You're going to be able, it's going to run in the background. You don't need a Chrome window extension, which basically a lot of people will use AutoView, which is another, software that you have to download. It's a Chrome extension. And what that allows you to do, you give it your API keys, and it basically just takes the place of Profit Trailer, and it does all the buying and selling for you. The only problem is you don't get to take advantage of Profit Trailer's trailing buys and all of the functionality that Profit Trailer and PT Feeder give you. So I'm really excited to be able to kind of merge all three of these things and really hone in this bot like we all really want it to be. We really want it to be a profit generator and not get stuck into these nasty bags. And I think this is a cool extension to help us do that. The cons is there's a little bit of a delay because there's an email. PT Feeder, they say it's about 20 seconds. So that's okay. It's not too big of a deal. But basically my plan is here, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but I just wanted to briefly overview. My plan is to release a TradingView script in the near future, using my favorite buying strategies, and basically anyone will be able to download it and get these buying signals, and then you'll be able to overwrite your Profit Trailer pairs folder with all of your different settings using PT Feeder. And PT Feeder will basically just be able to overwrite certain settings based on these signals that get sent via email. So it's pretty cool. That'll be a cool video once I have that all set up and running. I just wanted to briefly talk about it. The next thing I want to talk about is the volatility calculation. So basically, this is what makes PT Feeder so appealing to me, is the fact that it has the max trailing buys, the max trailing profits, the min trailing buy, and min trailing profit. And this is also in PT, and you can see all of this information in your pairs folder. But when you're using these what are these, volatility calculations in PT, in just normal Profit Trailer without running Feeder, those are constant. So these will always be 0.27, 0.27 here, and your all of this will just stay constant for every coin pair. Now, with Feeder, the really cool thing is that these now become, these volatility calculations become more or less mins and maxes, and PT feeder goes into your settings file in your pairs file, and it overwrites on a per coin basis the best possible math for the trailing buy and trailing profit. And so you can see that's being done here with every single pair. You can see that all of these pairs have different trailing profits, different trailing buys, all of this stuff, which is really, really cool because Profit Feeder is doing all of these calculations for you on a per coin basis. And you can see how many times it's doing it. It's thousands of lines of code. And that's what really makes this really appealing. And how this is done is PT Feeder calculates the volatility of each coin to be used in multiple places. So it does this by looking at all 5-minute candles over the period defined in minutes to measure trend. So for example, if your minutes to measure trend was 60 in the app settings JSON, then it would use 12 candles for the calculation. So it's basically just dividing whatever your minutes to measure trend is by 5, and it's using that many candles to derive the value of your trailing profits and trailing buys. So to me, this gives us the best possible coin by coin buying and selling opportunities when you use Feeder. Because when you use Profit Trailer, none of this exists in your folders. None of this exists in your pairs.properties file. This is all overwritten every 5 minutes by PT Feeder based on market conditions. So that is really powerful to me. And if you don't understand it too well, just join the Discord and we can all explain that a little bit better. But to me, that is what makes PT Feeder so valuable is you really are doing it on a coin by coin basis based on all of your offsets and all of your settings that you have in this bad boy right here. So this is the app settings JSON, and I'll just kind of start getting into the nitty gritty of these new settings and what I did to change everything. So pretty much up here, everything is relatively the same. Let's see, I changed the consecutive buys a little bit, so I moved them up to 9. A lot of people were having trouble with going into sell only mode too often, so this is something I changed. The DCA keep balance is at 0. This is at 0. My indicators pretty much the same, except for I changed the low BB candles or the Bollinger Bands to a 30 or a 300 second candle length again. So this is back down to the 5 minute. I did notice with the 3600, this is what I had before. I had 3600 up here. And basically what I noticed with this was we weren't getting very many buys, and that was a big complaint with those past settings. And so this is going to allow us to get into more trades, but keep in mind what I said at the beginning of the video. I am bagged up after using these new settings for a total of a day. So if I go to my DCA log, I mean, you can see that there are some coins that are definitely in not the best possible situations. So keep that in mind. This is probably quite a bit safer to keep that at 3600. The rest is pretty much the same. The defaults, I changed a few things in here, and this is where it gets kind of important. So my all of these pretty much the same. It comes down to the DCA buying strategies. I got rid of the loss. And the reason for that was a lot of people were getting stuck in their DCA and their loss was registering at a 0 all of the time. And so I'm still looking into why that's the case. I actually didn't experience that problem, so I'm not really sure what was happening, but I changed this to EMA gain. And the reason being is because it's going to give you relatively the same sort of buying signal. The loss strategy takes the average price of the coin or the open value of the coin over the past 24 hours, and then it compares it with where it's at now. And if it's at negative, if you have your loss strategy set buy value to -1, if it's not below -1 for the past 24 hours, it's not going to ever buy it. And so it kind of created too much of a hindrance to get into a coin, right? So it kind of took too much effort to get into a DCA, and that kind of made it difficult. So keep that in mind. All right, so we'll kind of just continually move down here. As you can see, I'm testing this DCA stop loss trigger at -3%. But as you can tell by looking at my DCA log, it's not working too well and to my advantage because, like I said, I'm using too many of these indicators to buy a DCA coin, right? So keep that in mind, because what seems to work best for me is using Anderson double down or having a really aggressive buying strategy in the DCA if you're going to use a stop loss. So I've gotten a lot of requests in the Discord to use RSI along with Anderson, and I actually really do like that idea. So I probably will be testing that to see how that works. But that's just something to keep in mind, because if your coin, like this one for example, POA, this is sitting at -4.1% and it's bought twice. I have 3 DCA levels. If it buys again at -2.5% or lower, which it probably will buy again, if I don't get above this DCA stop loss trigger with that purchase, then it's going to instantly sell at whatever percent it's at. It's going to just instantly sell. And so I'll probably lose more than that 3% in my stop loss trigger. So just remember that, because if you use too conservative of DCA buying, if you're using a stop loss, you're probably going to lose more than your stop loss trigger. So definitely keep that in mind. You can also use a regular stop loss that will just trigger before your DCA levels even get intact, right? So keep all of that in mind. It's all very important. Also, I say this in every video. If you're going to use a stop loss, make sure that you're aware of how many times your deep coins have purchased, because what can happen is you can say this was at 3, but you're sitting at -40% or something. It's gonna instantly trigger this sale at -40%. Okay, it's not gonna wait until it retraces all the way back up to -3. It's gonna instantly sell, and you may be upset. So keep that in mind. We'll just move down. These market conditions have been really, really useful. I really liked what I did here, changing these so it's a little easier. There's more triggers to go into a bear market, and that's important because what Profit Trailer is looking at is those shorter term time trends, right? Like the 5-minute candles for our indicators. And when you're in a bearish trend like that, it's important to be in this bear market folder, because we're overriding and being more conservative with what we're buying. So that's that. I like that a lot. Some of this stuff changed, but not a whole lot. Just remember that these settings that I'm giving out today are definitely more aggressive than they were last week. And I actually had more luck last week. I didn't end up in these 14 DCA bags. And not to mention, this is only a test bot where I'm in much deeper bags in my actual trading situation, just from playing with settings like this. So being more conservative definitely doesn't hurt, and it'll avoid these really deep bags. So a lot of this stayed the same, and you guys can look at this on your own time. The next thing I want to get into is a lot of people in my Discord and on my YouTube comments are talking about the bag busting strategy. So I created a little example on that regarding how we can get out of these really deep bags. So say you're in one of these ones down here and you're sitting at -20% or so. How are you going to get out of that? Well, the problem is if you're sitting at -20% on, for example, we use Cardano, obviously that's only 4%. So you're looking at a really deep loss. This is only 11%. If we go to like the daily candles, we can see a little bit more clear how this might work and how this can play out. So this is 3 days in a row at -10%. So maybe we'll start up here. I'll give you guys an idea. So this is good enough for the example. -15.64% over the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days or so. This is a prime example of what can happen if you get stuck into a bag. And if you see these daily candles, they're nowhere near this 17 or 15% gain. As you can see, we had a nice gain here of 5.1%, and that's awesome. If you got a 5% trade in Profit Trailer, you'd be really happy. But looking at the daily candles, if you bought up in here, Profit Trailer is not even going to look to sell at this point, because you're still at negative 11% at the bottom of that candle, and negative 7-ish% at the top of the wick. And so what that does is it doesn't allow you to play these market swings. And so basically the strategy that has been buzzing around YouTube and all of these other content creators. I know there's a couple people creating this as an add-on. That's going to be cool. That there's definitely been a lot of buzz and chatter about that. I've been reached out to by multiple people who say they're tinkering around with it. So be aware, be on the lookout for that. I know there's multiple groups doing it. I know Patrick is doing it. I'm no longer affiliated with Patrick. No hard feelings with him. Just, we're not working together on the add-on any longer, but he's still powering forward, it seems like, so it's good. But basically what the strategy is doing is, say you bought 100 coins at $1 each. So the total bag value is going to be $100. Your coin then starts to drop and goes down to 0.92 cents per coin, right? So $0.92. Your new bag value is going to be $92, right? It's very simple. You're at a negative 8% loss on that bag. So how do we take advantage of this market volatility? The problem is what's going on in the markets right now. You can tell that with regular profit trailer and not using any specific strategies, you're really not going to take advantage of these given swings in a day-to-day basis. So you can see here 5%, even from where these red candles started, or the bottom of their wick to the top is like 3 or 4 or 5%, right? So you're seeing volatility. Every coin is going to have a ton of volatility on a day-to-day basis, but you're not able to play that. So what you do is you break up the bag into tiny pieces, right? So you have 100 coins right now. You divide it by an arbitrary number. You can decide. You divide it by 25, for example. So now you have 25 separate bags of 4 coins each. Okay, that makes total sense. Very simple math. These 4 coins are all still valued at a negative 8% loss. Nothing changed. You didn't do anything. So how can we take advantage of this market volatility? Basically, what we're doing is we're going to be parking the remaining coins in a market sell order. So there's another step here that I didn't really outline, but place a pending sale. And what you'll do is you'll basically just take 100 minus 4, because you want to keep these 4 coins at that negative 8% loss, equals 96. So you're going to basically place a sell order, a pending limit order for 96 of your coins on Binance. And you have to do this manually. And this is the biggest downfall of this strategy, is it's very tedious. So you'd place these 96 coins in a sell order at a 1% gain from your original bought price. So you would sell this at about $1.01. Okay, so it's very simple. You'd sell it at 1.01, 96 coins. So then how do you take advantage of the market volatility? It's really simple. You buy more coins at the current market value. So what you're going to do is you're going to buy back. I like to use my original bag value of 100. So we bought 100 coins to begin with, buy another 100 coins. So basically you'll buy another 100 coins of the new market value at 0.92 per coin, and now you have a $92 bag. So basically what this is allowing you to do is get a new bag value. These 4 coins are going to get merged into this new purchase, and it's going to give you a new bag value using just simple math, weighted averages. You're going to add your 4 coins to your new 100 coins, and you don't even have to do this math. Profit Trailer will do this math for you, and you'll be at a new bag value of negative 0.33%, which, as you can see, is a lot more workable than a negative 8% loss. And so basically what you're going to do now is you just kind of sit back and relax and let Profit Trailer ultimately sell this bag at a 1% gain, or whatever your sell values are at. And easily you're going to be able to see, if we go down even into the 1 hour mark, we're going to be able to see some massive candles like this at a 1.72% gain. So if you bought in at the bottom of this candle, then your new bag would sell off the next hour, certainly, and you would end up with a profit on those 4 coins plus the 100 coins, right? So then basically what you would do next is you'd still have 96 coins placed in that limit sell order, and you would just subtract another 4 coins from there, and you would do it again. You would buy 100 more coins, and you would just continually break this bag up until you've reached the profit that you're comfortable with. Now, obviously, this takes a lot of work and it's manual. You have to go into Binance and do this all manually, which is the good news of what I said earlier is there are multiple groups of people who are actively working on making this thing a viable automatic add-on. I think that'll be really awesome. I definitely plan to test these when they come out, and I will endorse the ones that I think work the best. And that's kind of my outlook on this strategy. But I've just been getting a ton of questions about this in my Discord and direct messages. So I hope this helps with kind of how the strategy actually works, what you need to do. I know it's time consuming. Just kind of sit tight until these add-ons come out, and hopefully they work to our advantage and let us really play the market volatility, and hopefully we'll be able to get out of some of these negative bags that we're sitting on. So yeah, I mean, basically that's it. That's all I got for you guys. If you're not in the Discord, join up there. We're definitely talking about all sorts of stuff, profit trailer and just crypto related in general. Leave a comment on the video if you liked it. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And please, if you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up. I'm really trying to grow this channel as fast as possible, and that really does me a huge favor. So if you're interested in getting PT Feeder, profit trailer, whatever, links are in the description. By all means, it helps me out, but if you don't want to help me out, then that's cool too. So I'll catch you guys all in the Discord. Take it easy.